From blueprints to booming businesses, from groundbreaking to grand openings, this is Beyond the Blueprint. Join host Brad Howard as he takes you behind the scenes of growth and development in Mooresville, Lake Norman, and beyond. We're talking with the decision makers, the planners, the visionaries shaping our communities, giving exclusive insight into what happens before, during, and after projects that define our region. The future is being built right now. Let's go beyond the blueprint.
Welcome to Beyond the Blueprint, where we pull back the curtain on the projects and development shaping the future of Lake Norman. I'm your host, Brad Howard, and every episode we'll bring you inside conversations with the people driving growth in our communities, from the town leaders and business owners to developers and visionaries. I've lived in this region my entire life. I've witnessed the changes and the growth firsthand. Our goal and our focus will be helping people understand what happens beyond the blueprint, because the future is being built right now. Today, we're joined by Mayor Chris Carney with the town of Mooresville. Mayor Carney, thank you for joining us today.
Right, I'm glad to be on the first episode, so thank you. I think it's an important subject matter, and obviously, I hope lots of people tune in to kind of understand what's going on in their community.
All right. Thank you. And as you know, we've known each other a long time,
Sure.
And I'm sure most of our listeners already know who you are. But if they don't, tell us, who is Chris Carney?
Well, currently the mayor. Been in office, about 14 months-ish, all right? And we had Mooresville has obviously been a dynamically growing community for quite a while. Served on the town board from 2005 to 2011. I was the pro tem during part of that time, and then went on to North Carolina Senate from 11 to 13. And I had a nice little retirement break, but like so many people, got frustrated with some of the direction I thought growth was going, and there's such thing as good growth, and we always like to call that smart growth.
Smart growth. And
I think that's a very interesting, obviously, term to use, because I'm not sure people always agree with what others think smart growth looks like. But in Mooresville, we really definitely had to look at a way of growing that was not. We had a lot of apartments coming in, obviously, and that was really frustrating the community. And we're getting a little bit away from being kind of the business recruiter of the Lake Norman area. And I think that was also something that's always been a passion of mine. I feel like jobs cure a lot of woes. Mm-hmm. Obviously, business pay taxes, and those taxes help loosen up the restrictions on residential residential property tax. And anytime you can go ahead and not put that much pressure on the residents, that's good for everybody. And it gives us more money to spend on things like parks and fixing roads. And so that's kind of where we've gone in the Mooresville, is trying to recruit more of that type of growth and take that money and plow it back into the infrastructure, like roads that are necessary. Right now, we got about $450 million worth of projects working in Mooresville.
All? Just $450 million
of road projects.
Of road projects.
Of just road projects. Yeah, the growth of obviously developments, it's a bigger number than that. But growth when it comes to road projects, we've been pretty successful these last 14 months of getting some money from the feds, the state, and putting some in from ourselves as well.
Well, very good. Yeah. Very good. Before I jump to the questions, you touched on something there that I think a lot of people don't realize is Mooresville, and we've talked about this for years, and you guys, back when you started, back in 2005, was it?
I got in first December 2005 was my first meeting. Yeah.
Such a great job in recruiting businesses and employment.
Sure.
Is that Mooresville is actually an employment center. It's not just a suburb.
Yeah, we're not a budget community, and honestly, it would take offense to it.
And explain to people what
right.
What we mean.
When you get up in the Lake Norman area, so much of Davidson and Cornelius and Huntersville depend on jobs that are in Charlotte. We now certainly have some of that in Mooresville as well. The banks obviously are big employers, but with the fact that we have a Lowe's campus and we have so many other things that NGK and Niagara and so many great companies, that we bring as many employees, if not more, into Mooresville as we send out.
Yeah, and if you've been on 77, you understand there's gridlock in both directions. It's not just the commute into Charlotte, it's the commute into Mooresville.
100% right. And I tell people all the time, ultimately, my goal is that you don't have to drive out of town to go to work. You want to talk about fixing I-77, have less people have to drive on it to go to work every day.
Live, work, and play where you live.
That's exactly right. That is the goal, and we've worked really hard at it, and we're working really hard. Matter of fact, I'll be out of town in the middle of April meeting we're really pushing hard in defense work and meeting with some European defense companies that are looking to relocate to North Carolina. And so I'll tell you right now, if you're not paying attention at the federal level to the fact that they're trying to onshore jobs, and as a town going out there and recruiting those companies, then you are missing the boat. And that is exactly what we did. As soon as we heard that was the direction from the feds, we realized we need to be ahead of everybody else. And we started booking companies to catch up and talk. And we met them here in North Carolina. Now we're going to talk to them and see their campus needs and stuff. And we're really working hard to bring more defense from Europe over here.
So that's amazing. That's amazing. So on that note, we'll jump into the first question here before the break. Mooresville's growing rapidly. What are some of the key projects currently in development that you believe will have the biggest impact on the residents and the businesses? So it ties into what we were just discussing.
Well, I think the thing that, and it's somewhat controversial because it depends on who you are and when you look at growth. The complete anti-growth community, the ones that think that we should never prove anything, are obviously going to be frustrated. Mm-hmm. But the idea is, for years, all of our shopping was all up in the northwestern part of Mooresville.
Right.
So that's why that 150 Target area, where Target shopping centers and all that stuff is so overcrowded, right? I always joke, go there at Christmas time. It's crazy. And so as you've seen now, we've been able to, because as we've been more successful in diversifying our housing, now you see the Publix that went over in northeastern Mooresville. Now we just approved a Birkdale-like project with office space and stuff down in the east-west connector down in southeastern Mooresville. Right. And so what that's going to allow people to do is drive a mile or two instead of always across town and always to the same area. And it's actually going to have a rippling effect of traffic in a good way, because if somebody's not on 5 or 6 miles of our roads and only on 2 miles of our roads, it makes a big difference. And so we're working to do that. And also, like I said, we got rid of the 400 or 500 unit apartment complexes with a turn lane. That was not working. And to be fair to some of the old people that had approved those projects, there was a time when Mooresville didn't have a lot of that, and they turned on that faucet and just didn't turn off quick enough. And so we passed a rule this last year that says, no more. It has to all be mixed use projects, and standalone apartments no longer are going to be in Mooresville. And it's had an effect. It's dropped the numbers dramatically over. If you look at 2023, 100% of the project they looked at were standalone apartment complexes. In 2024, 5%. So that is a massive change. It is.
And on that topic too, is a lot of people, they're quick to blame the town for what's going on 150. Yeah. But those projects were approved over a decade when DOT said the funding was coming in 2 years and 4 years, and a decade later, there's a lot
of lessons, Brad, to be learned from there. First is never trust the DOT's time frame, and that's not a shot at them. They have a lot of needs, but you remember they woke up one day and had $1.8 billion deficit in money. And now you're looking at Western North Carolina's got $60 billion worth of needs. 19 of it is currently, I think, committed by the feds. So Raleigh's got a lot of choices to make. But from our side, 150, we have not approved projects on 150 because of that, because we're not going to add anything until after that project actually is well underway and finished probably.
Okay, and on that note, we're going to plan to go to a break, but we're going to come back and we're going to go a little deeper into the infrastructure and the road issue. So everybody stand by, and you can always find us on WSIC at 105.9 FM, 100.7 FM, or on the social media WSIC app. We're back with Mayor Chris Carney with the town of Mooresville, talking about all things Mooresville on Beyond the Blueprint. So, Mayor Carney, we were talking about roads and infrastructure. So let's we'll get to the $450 million in road projects that a small country could have, but actually just happening in Mooresville here. Sure. But let's go more in depth on 150, because that's the one that's close and near to most people's hearts right now if they're sitting in that traffic congested day in and day out. Tell us, what's the timeline? And I noticed they just started the erosion control.
They've actually started as you've seen, some of the tractors are already out there moving some stuff, and clearing some of the buildings and some of the different things like that. So essentially, from Highway 21 area to Williamson Road, Bluefield Road, that just started, and that in 12 months from that beginning, Bluefield will go to Perth, and then 12 months after that, Perth down to Catawba County Bridge, that area. So for the next 12 months, really 21 to Bluefield will be the area that you'll see under construction. And it'll take about 3 years. So you're talking about the whole project's probably 6 years, maybe a touch longer. But
are they going to have to put up with the construction in that one area for 3 years, or is it's going to move in phases like you were talking about?
Well, it's going to move in phases, but while they're working on phase 2, they'll still be working on phase 1. And when they're working on phase 3, they'll still be working on 2 and 1. So if you're somebody who lives out in, let's call it Cheryl's Ford, you've got construction for the next, till 2030 or whatever.
Right.
If you're somebody who lives like I do in off of Bluefield Road, for the most part, the next few years are where I'll have the most inconvenience. And if I'm going down to Lake Norman to take my kids, over the next 3 or 4 years, I'll have to deal with that. But obviously, we told people that's some have been upset about construction, and now it's inconvenience in their lives. And we told them it was going to be painful fixing the problems. Getting here. You can't fix the problem without actually having to do the work. If I could chuck my ruby slippers and tap my heels, would I do it? Yeah, to do it. But we can't, and people are going to have to be patient with that because Mooresville has so many outside pressures for people who live all around us that come in every day. These road projects are as much because of that as it is what's going on internally in Mooresville. People don't realize we really double our population just with going out a couple, 3 miles.
Right. And back to what we talked about before about being on 77 and traffic in both directions, most people may not realize how many cars come over each day from Catawba County.
Oh, yeah. At that
the Mooresville did not approve that is, and we have no say, or Mooresville has no say in that.
2/3 of the traffic going through that Perth light are going to Catawba County. So that tells you something.
Right.
So, you take those numbers out of there, that light's not nearly as bad.
It's not,
right. And it's just a matter of, and then you take, where everybody comes for shopping and the doctor and that, and we're again, we tell people all the time, we're happy. Thank you. We're glad you spend your sales tax dollars in our town. But it does put a lot of pressures on the infrastructure. And that's why we are also taking some of our money from our bank account at the town and putting some of these road projects and moving them forward as well.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that. What are some of the other $450 million other than 150?
So 150 is obviously a big one, but then you've got the East-West Connector was about another 30, 38 when you put land and everything in it. But the Timber Road extension, which goes between Highway 21 and 115, that's another $20-something million project, mostly being done through state grants and local landowner and developer costs. Obviously, lots of small projects. I won't even call this a small project. The Brawley School Road between Talbot and 21. That's a big project, and that's been underway for the last few months. It just happens to be all these have landed at the same time. I think is why it hurts so much. We lost a project that we were trying to work hard to get put back on there, which was the Highway 3 expansion. With all the construction that's begun over there, that area is really overwhelmed, and we're trying to work hard to get that put back on the state's STIP list, which is the list they use to pull projects from. But tons of small projects, intersection improvements, adding turn lanes, putting stoplights in, stuff like that. So we're trying to make sure that no matter where you drive in Mooresville, you're seeing some of your money being put into making your life better. And people don't realize that, but intersection improvements, that's $300,000-$400,000. So you start putting,
turn lanes and stoplights aren't cheap.
They are not cheap. And they take a long time. People don't really 10 years is about the time it takes from the time we talk about a road project to where you start seeing the pavement going down. And obviously, exit 38, which is the Cornelius interchange, Cornelius Road, not Cornelius the town. Cornelius Road interchange is got my full attention, and we're pushing really hard with the state to see different ways to move that forward. And we'd like it to move it forward at the same time as 150. So maybe if we can kind of get that done faster, that'll give people going east and west a little more options.
Yeah, more options to cross the interstate.
Yeah, that's the problem. And this is because of where we're sitting right now in Cornelius at the radio station. North and south, the options are limited because you got to go over the lake in certain places. And so the goal is to try to move east and west to other options to go north and south, right? And kind of almost form a grid system.
Absolutely. So off of all those infrastructure improvements, let's go back to business. So with new businesses moving into town, how is Mooresville balancing growth while maintaining the charm and character that the residents love?
Well, our downtown is fantastic. I was walking Saturday and looking, and somebody was laughing with me. Jeff Matthews, a great guy, lives in Mooresville, said, I want to walk down. I was walking, he said, I want to walk with the mayor and see what you look at when you look downtown. And of course, what am I looking at? I'm looking at storefronts. I'm looking at what do we have downtown that doesn't fit, right? What do we have downtown that is wonderful to build off of, right? And because when we have an empty building, instead of just hoping the right business goes in there, if we know what we're looking for, let's go recruit them. So having a really great downtown gives a cool heartbeat to a town that's very natural feeling, to be able to walk around a nice, cool downtown. And so that's helped us a lot. You can't beat the fact we have the lake, right? It's such an attractive thing for people. And the backbone of what we do is we have great schools. And as long as we have great schools, we're going to have people who want to move here. And I try to remind people when they talk about like a field and a farm becoming a housing complex, I remind them that over the last 150 years, about every house in Mooresville came from a farm. Yeah, it came from a farm. Right. And so these farmers that are now, they're just at the end of the game, but every development came from somebody's farm at one juncture. And your family's grown up where it was all farmland around you growing up.
Absolutely.
I think your dad tells the story of watching the lake being formed.
Watching lake be filled, watching 77 be built.
Yep.
And most people probably don't even realize that there was no 77, there was no lake. Right. It was just a river.
Yeah. So if you live down at the point and you paid $500,000 for your lot, the farmer got $250 for that lot when they bought it from him.
Right. Absolutely.
You had to put it to the lake. So, it's been a long time coming, but those things are attractive. And we're right on the doorstep of Charlotte. So I like to tell people that Charlotte's there for the things we want to use it for, but you don't have to feel captive of having all of that stuff around you because, we're 30 minutes away. And I think that's an attractive thing as well.
Right. And talking about the charm of downtown, there's an event coming up in a few weeks. I don't have it here in front of me, but the conference of downtowns.
Yeah, we're chosen to have
about that of everywhere in the country.
Yep. Really exciting. It's going to have, probably 1,000, 1,200 people or, in total coming down there. I know 800 participants and it's to show off the downtown. They pick a place that they really think lives up to what downtown should be. And they've done such a great job, Downtown Commission and some of the different people involved have done a great job getting us ready for it. And we're excited. We're also excited we're celebrating, as you know, focusing back in on NASCAR. We're really lucky to have the junior motorsports and the Penske's and the Roush Yates and all those there. And we're so thankful for them. And I think some people have kind of taken their eye off the ball of that. And we're not. We're doubling back down on it. And you saw where we painted checkered stripes downtown. And we want people to remember when you come to Mooresville that we appreciate our racing pass and how many jobs come here because of it. And the defense that we're getting into, that's only come about because of what we had with that talent from racing. The same great minds that make cars go fast or what make rockets go.
That's right.
Right. And
advanced manufacturing.
Right. And that is we've got a great employment group to pull from. And we're really excited that, the Corvid type model of, they're there because of those brains. And we're really excited that as you start to get more and more of those companies in town, it's going to make a big difference.
Okay. And off of that point about business, so small businesses are the backbone of any thriving community. What initiatives or resources does Mooresville have in place to support local entrepreneurs and local businesses?
Well, I think what most of them will tell you is that if you're a small business owner, I've had an open door policy. I'm a small business owner. And obviously, North Carolina as a state has done a great job of working on the corporate income tax rate, which has made it more attractive. But the thing we really can do for them most is get them a skilled workforce, because getting employees is what everyone will tell you is the hardest thing. And we're looking at that from all different aspects and really working with Lowe's right now to try to expand on trade programs, because we want more small businesses in the trades. It's a part of our economy that's missing. And it gives somebody such a great opportunity to go and get like a 2-year business degree from Mitchell Community College, and then couple that with a heating and air or electrical or whatever. And that person will have a thriving business the rest of their lives. They can pass generational wealth down to. And that is the place that we're trying to get more of the young people. We kind of told a lie that if you go to a 4-year university, the world will just open up and fall at your feet. That's just not true anymore. Honestly, if you want the world to fall at your feet, go learn a trade and get a good business degree so you know how to run your company. And I'll be fair, you're a millionaire.
Running.
Yeah, you're a millionaire in 10 years. Yeah.
Hit the ground running, and we'll touch on that when we get back. But again, this is Beyond the Blueprint. You can always find us on WSIC at 105.9 FM, 100.7 FM, 1400 AM, social media, or on the WSIC app. This is Beyond the Blueprint, and we will be right back. We are back. Brad Howard, your host with Beyond the Blueprint, and we have with us today Mayor Chris Carney with the town of Mooresville. We're talking about all things Mooresville. We've talked about Highway 150. We've talked about all of the infrastructure projects. Well, a few of the infrastructure projects. We've talked about downtown, and let's dig in a little deeper there and get into where the money's being spent. So you guys just completed your retreat.
Did budget retreat.
Your budget retreat.
In-town retreat. I had somebody ask me the other day, they said, best way to save money is y'all quit traveling, spend all this money on hotel rooms. I was like, well, then obviously you haven't done your homework, because we use the Mac Center, which is owned by the town, so it's free, and they just bought us lunch. So, but yeah, we had a 2-day retreat where we talked about, our budget's about $60 million in general fund, and then of course you've got the other funds in there, but really the ones that we have control are about $60 million.
$60 million. Okay, so of the $60 million, the taxpayers' money, what are the key projects being worked on? Where's that money going?
So realistically, of it, I'd say maybe about $17 million that we really can look at year to year and really move around. So much of it's between cost of whether it be some debt. Usually that runs about $8 million. And then, of course, you have your employees. So when it comes to staffing, which I'll tell you, it's amazing how much that's changed. Just that 10 years I was gone, we're up to like 700 employees. Now, I will tell you, I think that I can tell you, I will tell you 90% of our employees are fantastic and doing a great job. And I think that there's a little bit of fluff here and there. And I think we're finding that out. And our new town manager that we've gotten has come in and she's looked at where we maybe overly hired on stuff we could outsource a little bit. But the day-to-day stuff that we do for the citizens has to be done for the most part inside. You need planners and you need engineers and you need police and fire and obviously people in your recreation department, stuff like that. So some of the ancillary stuff behind the scenes, could be outsourced. And so we're going to look at some of that for sure. And but when you talk about our budget, Fire Station 7 is in the works.
And where's that going to be?
Down at the Lane Tree Road, hopefully on the front of the Lowe's campus. They were generous enough to offer us a place for that. And, again, I can't put into words how thankful we have been to that company. They are really, truly been kind to our town. And then shout out to them. And we always joke that we have an anti-orange. You can't come here if you have an orange building in Mooresville. But, Marvin and Joe are really, truly, they're such good community supporters that you really can't put enough behind that. I will tell you, Fire Station 7 is a big deal. Also, doing the Moore baseball park downtown.
Okay.
We're going to use that. It's kind of the juggernaut that pushes all the southern redevelopment of some of that older part of Mooresville, because now it's going to be more attractive. And that's a pretty sizable project, but it's going to be able to hold about 2,500 people in a stadium size. And the amount of baseball that we had interest in coming to play there is unbelievable. Not many people have an urban feel like that where you're built into a downtown. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we already have a pretty cool downtown anyway. So that project is moving really fast. The park's closed down this year, so the Spinners aren't playing. And we'll have probably 80% of that project done, and then we'll have baseball next year, and then in the off season finish the last 20% of it. Mm-hmm. But it's really exciting. So that's a big deal. Obviously renovating or adding some more to Cornelius Park, which is up on Cornelius Road. It's really the only big mega park that's on the west side. That's a big deal. So there's quite a bit of that. Really looking at how we're going to help our seniors, because we had such an influx of young people come back in the day with their grandkids, bringing their kids.
Right.
And now we've got the follow of the people retiring want to be closer. Yeah. And they want to come down. And so we're really looking at how to give our seniors everything they need, because, we spent so much money on trying to get the stuff right for kids. Because back in like 2006, when I came, we had hardly anything when it came to parks.
Right.
And so we poured a lot of money in the Mazeppa Park, Cornelius Park, and Bellingham Park. And so we brought a lot of baseball fields and soccer fields and stuff on. And now it's time to kind of look at what we're doing for the seniors.
Right. And you went ahead a few years back with Liberty Park.
Yeah, it's great.
So now the War Memorial, when is that one starting, the second phase of that?
So that's part of the discussion of what is that building going to be? And obviously we want to obviously take care of the people who helped us put that building into play back in post-World War II,
right,
and respect them. But that building, it's time to, get a good facelift. And so we're trying to balance those two things out without offending the history of the building, but also preparing it for what's coming and the uses that we may need to put in there.
Okay. And then too, is while we're in that general area, isn't there another project you guys are helping with?
We submitted a bill at the state to take about 4 acres over there, and we'd like to work with our friends at Lowe's, who've offered to be a partner, building homes for heroes, and do a veteran village of about 15 houses for disabled veterans and first responders, and give them houses. So we're working on that now, and more to come with that. But it's a really great project. We're excited. And again, I hate to keep bragging on the same people, but they brought the idea to us, and we were like, how do you not get involved in something like that? So we're excited about it.
You're an amazing community partner.
Oh, they are. Yeah, no question about it. Like I said, I can't say enough about the upper leadership of that organization. They call us to say, hey, what is it we can do for this group that's at risk, or for the youth of our thing, or veterans? They are really behind the veterans. They try to do anything they can to help our people who serve our country.
That's good. So on a similar note, what impacts do you plan, and how do you see them affecting the local budgets related to federal funds, state funds, and local funds? How do we help people understand how a project comes together with the funding? Because it's not all just local funds, and you have to be in the right position. Help educate the listeners to how these projects happen and get funded.
I will tell you, we got a lot of chicken littles out there that think the sky's always falling. I don't buy into that. The federal government always has pressures, and when you bring administrations in, they always have different things they want to do. I think it's really good, and we're doing the same thing locally, of looking at where we spend our money, and is that money being spent the way that the taxpayers really want it to be? Mm-hmm. Are you squeezing all the every bit out of every dollar you spend for them? And everybody can have different ideas of what they want to see money spent on, but at the end of the day, they should at least agree that what you spent it on, you did the best with that money that you could. And so I'm okay with the federal government doing that. I'm more worried the fact that state has so many additional pressures with what's going on in Western North Carolina.
Right.
So I think that's going to actually affect us way more on a local level. But as I tell people, for everybody who's got this, somehow Trump is keeping them up at night, it's okay. Settle down. It's not that big of a deal. The country is a big aircraft carrier, and it moves very slowly, and getting things done moves very slowly. So we've got really great representation here locally. I don't think people realize how important it is to have your elected officials in the right places. Just like when we got to where we thought we might lose 150 because of all the money needing to go west, first thing we did was get on the phone with Senator Sawyer, who's the chairperson in the Senate for transportation, and I'll share with you. I said, Vicki, I love you. I'll do anything for you. But if we lose this project, right, I'm gonna have to come to your house and lock you to, or go down to Raleigh or something. And so, and she got right in there, and she fought to make sure that money didn't get moved, along with Representative McNeely, and at the time Representative Mills, and Mitchell Setcher out of Troutman has been a great partner as well. So we got a really great representation at state level, and it's really been nice. We miss Jason Sane. He was senior probes chair out of Lincoln County for so long. Mm-hmm. And it was always nice being able to call a neighbor that close and be able to tell them what you needed. But, we're still working great with Raleigh. And honestly, I get along fine with Josh Stein. I tell people all the time, it's not as political as people think it is at times. And when you have a need and you tell somebody about it, Raleigh's better than they think. Now, they have a lot of needs across the state, so we all got to get in line. But if you're smart and you ask for the things you really need, Raleigh at least is willing to listen. And like I said, that stuff going on in the west part of states really got me way more worried than what's going on at the federal government level.
Oh, absolutely. And, one thing on that note, and I know we're going to come up to a break, is when it comes to infrastructure and local things, you may agree or disagree, politically and socially on certain things, but you can always come together on your local community with infrastructure and
police,
fire, the things that make the community tick. Right. So, and that's one thing we could have a whole show on. But again, we're coming up to a break. This is Brad Howard, Beyond the Blueprint, and you can always find us on 105.9 FM, 100.7 FM, 1400 AM, social media, or on the WSIC app. And we will be right back with Mayor Chris Carney with the town of Mooresville.
Sorry, Brad, where app would I find that on?
You would find it on the WSIC app. And you can also reach Justin Kazepas. And so giving Justin a quick plug. So looking forward to it. We'll be right back. Back. This is Brad Howard with Beyond the Blueprint on WSIC. We're here with Mayor Chris Carney, and we are going to finish the last segment talking about the future. So, Chris, looking ahead, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, what's your vision for Mooresville, and what do you think the biggest challenges and opportunities will be along the way?
That's a great question, Brad. I think the thing that first jumps out at us is with growth comes growth problems, right? You get some great things that come with it, but you get some real problems come with it. Obviously, we got to stay ahead of the crime. So we've been investing heavily in our police, as you can imagine. And I think we saw a stat that we led the country in felons being arrested using the flock system where they, are pinpointed by their license plate. And
explain what that is, because a lot of listeners probably don't know.
Oh, yeah. So when you cross into Iredell County, into the sheriff's department uses it some, but a lot of the retailers do as well. So essentially, there are these cameras, and all they do is read license plates. And to those who are conspiracy theorists, they're not looking to see who you are. It only if the car's stolen or it's registered to a felon who's wanted, it pops up and lets our police know. So we know where you are, and we can go ahead and apprehend you. And we do it all day long inside Mooresville. And that's why you'll see a lot of it on the news. And because, to be fair, if you go down into Mecklenburg, so when we go down and get you into Mecklenburg County, those magistrates put you right back out on the street same day. So we drag you back to Iredell, where we make sure you get a real bond and real jail time. And we're just not playing around with it. We've done some, as you know, pedophile stings. Probably we arrested 19 in the last one we did. Obviously, we're doing a lot with fentanyl. And arrest. Great shout out to the sheriff. They had a really great bust the other day for that. And what people don't realize, every time they get fentanyl off the street, a young person lives, right? Because that is such a dangerous thing right now for our young people. So I'm so proud of what they have been able to do, and the sheriff's done, and what our police department's doing. And I will tell you, I think right now, if you want to ask me what makes me pull my hair out, is this red line. The red line. I've heard about this for a long time. Tell us about the red line. I'm so proud of the fact that I was able to drop about 30 pounds and get off my blood pressure medicine. But the red line is what puts me back on my blood pressure medicine. And so it is. And I understand Charlotte and Mecklenburg County has their needs and what they want to do, and we're not opposed to that. But when I tell you, it has been just a hard journey, because the rail means different things to us. And so when we talk about bringing that to Mooresville, the first rendition showed it coming all the way through the middle of our downtown. Well, that was a problem.
Well, don't you have a building that sits in the middle of it?
Yeah, we have that we would have paid them a rent on, with our art center and all that. And then the next thing was, no, we're going to all get along. Don't worry, we'll work this out. So, people forget I served in the General Assembly, so it wasn't very hard to get a bill that made sure they had to stop at the Mecklenburg line without us. Well, then everybody was mad about that.
Well, why did you explain that? I mean, because a lot of these people may not know the details of what you're talking about.
What we basically did is ask General Assembly to say that Charlotte could not come up into Iredell County unless Mooresville and Iredell County say it was okay. So currently their system has to stop at that county line.
So Charlotte owns, or Katz owns the
rail
rail
up to the
easement.
Mecklenburg line. That's right, south of into Mecklenburg.
Okay.
And so essentially, we always say we've been thinking, well, as you know, then everybody was upset. They're like, "Why did you do that?" I'm like, "Well, if we're going to be friends, what does it matter, right? If we're going to." So what we did is we just we level setted the fact that we will be at the table making decisions on what happens when it comes to the thing. And these last months, we have had no more conversations. And now they're rolling out another map that shows 2 stations in different places, not even where we've talked about. And so it's just been very hard. And so some people say, well, the mayor of Mooresville is kind of anti-rail. I'm not. I can't be pro or anti-rail because we still don't have anything to work off of. And so until we get to that time, do I have concerns that I'm already arresting people by the dozens coming out of Charlotte? Mm-hmm. Yes. Do I want to have another mode of transportation that puts us in a position we have to look at for that? That's concerning.
Right.
But let's have a conversation. Do I also want my corporations to be able to move their employees in and out of, Charlotte? Yes. So there's lots of ways we can talk about it. But as of right now, they have not given me anything to act on. And my board still, we are opposed to that project until we have a reason to be for it. And so we've kind of unanimously said that. And most of the time I don't try to speak for the other 6 electeds, but on this one issue, we are absolute solidarity that we are not moving forward with this project. So it will stop in Mecklenburg County as the way it is based right now. And, I tell them all the time, go with God. I hope you guys are the best. But I mean, we've had no reason to change our position on it. And if they want us to, they're going to have to bring a plan that we like way more than the one they have now.
Okay, so Mooresville's just waiting on Charlotte or the other towns to bring a plan of what they'd like to see.
They got a lot of steps. They got to get the state to tell them that they can have a sales tax.
Okay, so tell us what is the
currently the way
reality
it goes,
to set in?
Yeah, if the way they're working at it, they got to go down to Raleigh, and Raleigh's got to put pass a law that allows them, because in the state of North Carolina, cities can only do explicitly what the state says they can.
Okay.
So we have nothing. So whenever you get upset about something, we are only working within the rules. And every time you see a new law come out, it's because some city in North Carolina has done something stupid. I'll say usually it's Durham. And they do something, and then the state passes a law to not let them do it, but it affects the rest of us at the same time, right?
Right.
I always laugh. It's like one kid stays out past curfew, and so you punish them all. And that's just how it works here. And so, and so essentially, when it comes down to it, so they've got to find a way to get that sales tax to be able to be on a referendum, and then the citizens of Mecklenburg County have to vote for that sales tax to pay for it. So if those 2 things happen, then we're all in a position, and that might be a little bit why we haven't talked as much with MEC, because maybe they're waiting to see how much of that gets momentum before they worry about us. But as of right now, we are where we are on it.
Okay, so the state has to approve.
And then the taxpayers of MEC have to approve it.
Yep. And then come to Mooresville and negotiate.
And there's some argument to the fact of it makes sense. Some of that has some road construction money built into it. And if I'm Woody or Rusty or anybody like that, I'm actually, or Christy down in Huntersville, it'd be nice to have a dedicated road fund, because the state can't keep up with all the road needs. It's built off of gas tax, and that is just a poorly funded way of raising revenue because that numbers goes down. Right. As we get more efficient vehicles, and the cost of building a road has gone through the roof. I can't put it in perspective. I remember,
and you're talking about a road fund, and we're already at $450 million. Just in Mooresville.
Just in Mooresville.
Right.
That's right. And so it'll be, if I get exit 38, that's going to add another $68 million to that number. So, I mean, it is a nonstop struggle. And like I said, I do have some empathy for the state, because those pockets are only so deep, and they have a lot of places that need a lot of stuff. So, but it's my job as the mayor of Mooresville to be out there fighting for Mooresville. And I can have empathy for you, but at the end of the day, I got to take care of my people.
Okay. And on that, and focusing on Mooresville, Mooresville is a top 20 city in North Carolina for small business in 2025, according to the B2B reviews. Explain what that means.
Well, I think a lot of things. So first of all, I always laughed at first we were, fastest growing town in North Carolina.
Right.
Then we were the fastest growing suburb in the country. I keep laughing that one day I'm going to pick it up, and then we're going to be the fastest growing community in the universe of wherever, because every time it keeps going up.
A lot of people feel like we are.
Yeah. Right. But I think to your point, because we are very business friendly when it comes to if you're a business, and you sat with me at many a developer council type group, and for everyone you think for all the things that I've cut back on letting, they're very thankful because we have for the stuff we are wanting to come there, very friendly to you.
Right.
Very customer
service
friendly.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're going to say is if your ideals of what you want to build can match to what we want to come, you're going to find us to be the best city in America to build. That's just the reality of it. If you aren't going to come, if you're wanting to do something that we don't want, the good news is we tell you up front we don't want it. And hopefully that saves you time and money. And there's nothing worse in the development community when they spend a year and a half planning something, get to the final vote, and we turn them down. Right? They got a lot of money, a lot of time. So we've just changed the way we do it. We let you know right up front. I had a conversation with a developer in my office the other day. He has a particular concept of something that he wants to bring that, to be fair, we couldn't care less if he comes. And he's made it very clear. He's like, well, I'm not sure I would want to come to Mooresville. I said, that's okay. I'm not sure we want you to come to Mooresville. Let's just be honest with each other.
At least you're honest.
Yeah.
Right. That's all you can ask for is honesty.
And I think that that's okay because there's another town that would love to have you. And it just happens to be, we talk about like, we don't recruit distribution centers really to Mooresville. We don't have the road system to have a lot of trucks. So what we have is our business park where we have the Penske's and we have the Niagara Waters and we have the NGKs and all that. And our goal is to move those trucks to the interstate, right?
Right.
And so that's why we're working so hard on Exit 38. So we do have a plan when it comes to that. But if you want to put a distribution center somewhere else in Mooresville, it's just not.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
And there's other parks in the county.
Right.
And Iredell County does such a great job working together. Is if we realize that the business is better suited, in a different location, everybody's very cooperative. Statesville
has 40 and 77 intersecting right there. That is a great place to move product.
Correct.
Yeah, and I'm never going to push the ones we have out, but we recruit them more because of the skilled labor than we do because of the distribution aspect of it.
Absolutely, high tech manufacturing and all the growth in Mooresville. So we're running into the end of the segment here, and I think
in the end of the program.
The end of the program.
So if you'll let me tie it up, I'll tell you I appreciate you, Brad. I think what you're doing is going to be great. Obviously, love to come back. I know we talked about my brother, who's a Cornelius commissioner. Us getting on here together. That's a lot of Carneys on one. And
you would have to tune in for the video feed for that one.
Yeah, right. He's the youngest. He's better looking. Yeah, he's my mama's favorite, as I always say. But he's been a great commissioner in Cornelius. So yeah, those of you who live in Cornelius, you got a really good one there. And his economic development background from all those years has really given, I think, a great perspective of going after the right stuff here in Cornelius. So good for them. They got a good one there.
They do, and absolutely. And we're looking forward to that. So thank you again, Mayor Carney, for joining us today, sharing your insights. We had a great conversation. And be sure to join us next week on Beyond the Blueprint, where we'll continue to explore projects and developments that are shaping Lake Norman. Until then, I'm Brad Howard, and this is Beyond the Blueprint, because the future is being built right now.